Earth's rotation is changing speed. It's actually slowing, and this means that, on average, the length of a day increases by around 1.8 seconds per century.
Avocados are a fruit, not a vegetable. They're technically considered a single-seeded berry, believe it or not.
The Eiffel Tower can be 15 centimeters taller during the summer. That's due to thermal expansion, meaning the iron heats up and the particles gain kinetic energy and take up more space.
Trypophobia is the fear of closely packed holes, or more specifically, an aversion to the sight of irregular patterns or clusters of small holes or bumps. No English muffins for them, then.
Allodoxophobia is the fear of other people's opinions. It's a rare social phobia characterized by an irrational and overwhelming fear of what other people think.
Australia is wider than the Moon. The Moon is 3,400 kilometers in diameter, while Australia's diameter from east to west is almost 4,000 kilometers.
Mellifluous is a sound that is pleasingly smooth and musical to hear.
The Spice Girls were originally a band called Touch. When we first started with the name Touch, we were pretty bland, Mel C told The Guardian in 2018. We felt like we had to fit into a mold.
Human teeth are the only part of the body that cannot heal themselves. That's because teeth are coated in enamel, which is not a living tissue.
It's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland. It's considered animal abuse because they're social beings and get lonely.
Why? The ancient Romans used to drop a piece of toast into their wine for good health. Hence why we raise a toast.
The heart of a shrimp is located in its head. They also have an open circulatory system, which means they have no arteries.
Amy Poehler was only 7 years older than Rachel McAdams when she took on the role of Cool Mom in Mean Girls. Rachel was 25, playing Regina George, and Amy was 32.
People are more creative in the shower. When we take a warm shower, we experience an increased dopamine flow that makes us more creative.
Baby rabbits are called kits. Cute.
Whiz. The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland. It was apparently chosen because of its connection with dominance and chivalry, as well as purity and innocence in Celtic mythology.
The first airplane flew on December 17, 1903. Wilbur and Orville Wright made 4 brief flights in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, with their powered aircraft.
Venus is the only planet to spin clockwise. It travels around the Sun once every 225 Earth days, but it rotates clockwise once every 243 days.
Why not? Nutmeg is a hallucinogen. The spice contains myristicin, a natural compound that has mind-altering effects if ingested in large doses.
A 73-year-old bottle of French Burgundy became the most expensive bottle of wine ever sold at auction in 2018, going for $558,000.
Competitive art used to be an Olympic sport. Between 1912 and 1948, the International Sporting Event awarded medals for music, painting, sculpture, and architecture. A chef's hat has 100 pleats. Apparently, it's meant to represent the 100 ways you can cook an egg. Wonder if Gordon Ramsay knows that.
In 2014, there was a Tinder match in Antarctica. 2 research scientists matched on the global dating app in the most remote part of the world.
The Spanish national anthem has no words. The Marcha Real is one of only 4 national anthems in the world, along with those of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, and San Marino, to have no official lyrics.
The Japanese word kuchi-zamishi is the act of eating when you're not hungry because your mouth is lonely. We do this all the time.
The probability of a blue lobster existing is widely touted as being 1 in 2 million.
Yet there's only one letter that doesn't appear in any American state name. There's a Z in Arizona and an X in Texas, but no Q in any of them.
Zachnint, Louboutin's iconic red soles were inspired by Andy Warhol. The 60s pop artist's drawing flowers caught the eye of the famous designer, which gave him the idea to add the infamous soul to his designs.
A book called À la recherche du temps perdu by Marcel Proust contains an estimated 9,609,000 characters, making it the longest book in the world. The title translates to Remembrance of Things Past.
Google Images was created after Jennifer Lopez wore that infamous dress at the 2000 Grammys. So many people were searching for her outfit. The search engine added an image function.
Big Ben's clock stopped at 10:07 p.m. on 27 May 2005, most likely due to extremely hot temperatures.
Ajrej. Walt Disney currently holds the most Academy Awards. Disney won 26 Oscars over the course of his career and was nominated 59 times.
There's a fruit that tastes like chocolate pudding. It's called black sapote, and it's native to Central and South America. Apparently, it tastes like chocolate and sweet custard.
Queen Elizabeth II was a trained mechanic. When she was 16, the Queen joined the British Employment Agency at the Labour Exchange and learned the basics of truck repair.
Wait, the Easter Island heads have bodies. In the 2010s, archaeologists found that 2 of the Pacific Island figures actually had torsos that measured as high as 33 feet.
M&Ms are named after the businessmen who created them. But what do the M's stand for? Forrest Mars and Bruce Murray.
Pigeons can tell the difference between Picasso and Monet. What? A 1995 study shows that the birds can differentiate between the two artists.
Toddy, the real name for a hashtag is an octothorpe. The octo refers to the 8 points in the symbol, but according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the thorpe part is a mystery.
The actors who voiced Mickey and Minnie Mouse got married in real life. Russi Taylor, Minnie, and Wayne Allwine, Mickey, tied the knot in 1991.
You can hear a blue whale's heartbeat from over 2 miles away. Blue whales weigh an average of between 130,000 and 150,000 kauri, with their hearts weighing roughly 180 kilogram.
The last letter added to the English alphabet was J. The letter dates back to 1524. And before that, the letter I was used for both the I and AJ sounds.
Juan, there is actually a word for someone giving an opinion about something they know nothing about. An ultra-crepidarian is someone who voices thoughts beyond their expertise.
Jaquit. The Chupa Chups logo was designed by Salvador Dali. The surrealist artist designed the logo in 1969.
Ketchup was once sold as medicine. The condiment was prescribed and sold to people suffering from indigestion back in 1834.
The world's longest walking distance is 14,000 miles. You can walk from Magadan in Russia to Cape Town in South Africa. It requires no flying or sailing, just bridges and open roads.
Key, the moon has moonquakes. They happen due to tidal stresses connected to the distance between the moon and the earth.
Humans are the only animals that blush. Apparently, we're also the only animals that experience embarrassment, too.
The Night's Watch cloaks in Game of Thrones were made from IKEA rugs. The show bought the rugs, shaved them down, and then dyed them to make the cloaks.
The iCarly High School set was also used for Saved by the Bell. And that's so Raven. That's why it looks so familiar.
Harry Styles has 4 nipples. He has a common condition called polythelia.
People used to say prunes instead of cheese when getting their pictures taken.
Blue whale tongues can weigh as much as an elephant. Their hearts also only need to beat once every 10 seconds.
Queen Elizabeth II had a stand-in to make sure the sun wouldn't get in her eyes.
There's an ant species unique to New York City, called Manhattans, Biologists found them in a specific 14-block strip of the city.
The Eiffel Tower was originally intended for Barcelona. The Spanish city thought it was too ugly, so Gustave Eiffel pitched it to Paris instead.
There's only one shell garage actually shaped like a shell. There was actually 8 built in the 1930s, but only one remains in North Carolina.
The shortest commercial flight in the world takes place in Scotland. Regional airline Loganair flies between the islands Westray and Papa Westray. The journey is just 1.7 miles and takes 90 seconds.
Titin, dolphins have names for one another. According to National Geographic, dolphins use a unique whistle to distinguish between different members in their pod.
Sheen. The blob of toothpaste on a toothbrush has a name. It's called a nurdle, and there was once a lawsuit over which toothpaste company had the right to portray it.
One part of Istanbul is in Europe, and the other is in Asia.
There are more than 1,000 types of bananas growing in the world. These can then be divided into 50 categories.
The letter E is the most popular letter in the alphabet. Z is the least popular.
Hazelnuts are the official state nut of Oregon. Because yes, that's a thing.
The Beatles' song, A Day in the Life, has a frequency only dogs can hear. It's at the end of the song.
Vietnam is the world's second biggest coffee producer. Brazil creates the most, with Colombia coming in third.
The TV show Big Brother originated in the Netherlands. It was created by John de Mol in 1999 and has since been franchised in 54 countries.
Candles were once eaten in famines. They used to be mainly created from beef fat or beeswax, and so they were often stolen in famines.
KFC is the meal of choice on Christmas Day in Japan. This happened following a successful marketing campaign over 40 years ago.
Shakis. The bamboo plant is the fastest growing woody plant in the world. It can grow up to 35 inches per day.
The office chair is believed to have been invented by Charles Darwin. The scientist had the idea to attach wheels to his chair so he could move around between his many tables.
Mariah Carey holds the record for the most #1 singles by a solo artist on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. She surpassed Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson with the singles including Fantasy and Always Be My Baby.
Only 10% of the population is left-handed, and men are more likely to be left-handed.
A cat spends on average 15 hours a day sleeping, jealous. This means the majority of its life is spent asleep.
You share your birthday with around 19 million people. Yep, not feeling so special now, are you?
There are about 5,000 species of sea sponges. Really?
Beyoncé is the most awarded artist at the Grammys.
The word cereal comes from a Roman goddess. The breakfast food is named after the goddess of harvest and agriculture, Ceres.
The tiny pocket in your jeans was designed to hold pocket watches. It was needed for cowboys in the 1800s, although now it's mainly a decorative feature.
The Pope can't be an organ donor. All Pope's bodies belong to the Vatican when they die, which means no organ donation is allowed.
Lemons float, but limes sink. This is because of their different densities, often causing unpeeled limes to sink if submerged in a liquid.
The continent of Africa is in all 4 hemispheres. Brain exploding emoji.
In the TV show Gilmore Girls, 26-year-old Keiko Agena portrayed a 15-year-old Lane Kim. And yet her co-star, Alexis Bledel, was 19 while playing 15-year-old Rory Gilmore.
People once ate arsenic to improve their skin. In the late 19th century, it was said to get rid of freckles and blackheads.
Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times when he died. The Roman leader was killed by his fellow senators, including his former bestie, Brutus.
After water, tea tea is the most consumed drink in the world. Pinkies up.
During the 2024 Summer Olympics, 4 sports made their debut: climbing, breaking, skateboarding, and surfing.
Sutiao, onions are a natural remedy for clearing a blocked nose. The sulfur content in the vegetable is thought to draw mucus out of the body.
Nepal has the most public holidays. The nation has 39 each year.
The longest bone in the human body is called the femur. It's your thigh bone.
In order for a spirit to be classed as tequila, it needs to be made from the blue agave plant. In fact, it's made from the center of the agave plant, which is called the piña.
Actor Julia Roberts is aunt to fellow actor Emma Roberts. Also an actor, Eric Roberts is Julia's older brother and Emma's father.
Sheffield FC is the oldest soccer club recognized by FIFA, having been founded in October 1857.
Chosen, each zodiac sign belongs to an element. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn.
Rafael Nadal holds the title for the most Grand Slams ever won on clay. He won the French Open 14 times.
A plant or animal cell that has a membrane and a nucleus is called a eukaryote. All animals, plants, and fungi fall into this category.
The Caesar salad recently turned 100 years old. It was invented in July 1924 by Cesar Cardini, an Italian chef who owned a restaurant in Tijuana, Mexico.
And the hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth was 134 F. The recording was taken in Death Valley, Nevada in July 1913.
Jisoo the Baby Shark Dance is one of the most watched videos on YouTube, with over 66 billion views.
Prince William and Prince Harry have a half-sister named Laura, who largely stays out of the public eye. She was born in 1978, and her parents are Queen Camilla and her then-husband Andrew Parker Bowles.
Billie Eilish's No Time to Die is the most awarded song in history. It won 36 awards, including the Grammy Award for Best Song.
Pantone named Mocha Mousse their color of the year for 2025.
Your tongue is covered with roughly 8,000 taste buds, each containing up to 100 cells, which are what help you to taste food.
The oldest verified man to ever live is Jiromon Kimura, 1897-2013, of Japan. He lived to the age of 116 years and 54 days. All the clocks in Pulp Fiction are set to 4:20. Looks like we're going to have to rewatch the film to prove it.
Bama, Kim Kardashian has a glam clause in her will. It states that if she's ever in a position where she can't get ready herself, can't communicate, or is unconscious, someone has to make sure her hair, nails, and makeup are all perfect.
An ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain. This could be why the birds often run around in circles when trying to escape predators.
A jiffy is an actual unit of time. It's 1/100th of a second.
You can't hum if you hold your nose. Hands up if you just tried it.
Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. It's 120 times smaller than the island of Manhattan.
Japan has over 200 flavors of Kit Kats. They're exclusively created for different regions, cities, and seasons. There are some tasty-sounding ones like banana and blueberry.
Kris Jenner has 13 grandchildren. Extra points if you can list them in order of age. Who?
A crocodile cannot stick its tongue out. They have a membrane that holds their tongue in place on the roof of their mouth, so it can't move.
Pigs can't look up into the sky. The anatomy of their spine and neck muscles limits their movement and restricts their head from being able to look upwards.
Kim Kardashian knows the alphabet in sign language. Apparently, she used it to cheat on tests with her friends in school.
In the course of an average lifetime, while sleeping, you may eat around 70 different insects and 10 spiders or more. Ooh.
Everyone's tongue print is different. Like the fingerprint, it has unique features that differ from person to person.
It would take 19 minutes to fall to the center of the Earth.
The largest wave ever recorded was in Lituya Bay in Alaska. It reached 1,020 feet in 1958 and was triggered by a massive landslide.
Coconuts are actually a fruit, not a nut. Sometimes they're also called drupes, which are defined as fruits that have an inner flesh and seed surrounded by a hard shell.
90% of the world's population lives in the Northern Hemisphere.
Diu, the largest bowling alley in the world, is in Japan. It has 116 lanes.
Sudan has more pyramids than any country in the world. The country has between 200 and 250 pyramids, compared to Egypt's 138.
Japan has one vending machine for every 40 people.
The shortest war in history, the Anglo-Zanzibar War, lasted 38 minutes.
All clownfish are born male. They can become female later in life.
In Japan, you can buy square watermelons. No number before 1,000 contains the letter A when spelled out.
Anteaters have no teeth. Instead, they use their tongue to eat food.
The human nose can detect 1 trillion different scents.
White is not actually a color. Rather, it's the absence of all colors.
Your skin is the largest body organ. It's followed by your liver, brain, and lungs.
There are 8 main blood types, but the rarest blood type is AB.
Ko. The Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon in China is regarded as the deepest canyon in the world. It's 18,000 feet deep and is longer than the Grand Canyon.
Shu, wind is actually silent. What we hear is the wind blowing against an object.
One season on Saturn lasts about 7 Earth years.
The Atlantic Ocean is saltier than the Pacific Ocean.
If you get a group of 23 people together, there's a 50% chance 2 people will have the same birthday.
According to data from 2023, it's thought that Muhammad is the most popular name in the world. Maria is the second most popular name.
Leap years happen every 4 years. They occur when the calendar contains an extra day, February 29th. The next leap year will take place in 2028.
A dog that is a cross between a Chihuahua and a miniature dachshund is called a Chiweenie.
You Google the word askew, the entire page will tilt. Warning, it might make you feel sick.
Snow White was the first Disney princess to have a full-length movie. It was created way back in 1938.
The name Lego comes from the Danish words legot, which means play well.
A group of frogs is called an army.
Duas, the number 4, is the only number with the same number of letters as its value. All of the others have more or less letters than its meaning.
It's very difficult to sneeze with your eyes open.
Human teeth are the hardest part of the body, even more so than human bone.
Green is the rarest eye color of the main 4 eye color groups: blue, brown, hazel, and green.
The Pacific is the largest and deepest ocean, covering more than 1/3 of the Earth's entire surface.
The average length of time for a lion to live in the wild is between 12 and 16 years. In captivity, they can live longer, up to 25 years.
The world's hottest chili pepper is the Carolina Reaper, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. It's around 400 times spicier than a jalapeno.
Tadiao? Starfish don't have brains. The animal has a very simple nervous system, which doesn't include the organ.
Michi, panda bears spend the majority of their waking hours eating. They have been known to eat for 12 hours straight.
There are 2 main shapes of popcorn, butterfly and mushroom. Mushroom is when the kernel pops in a more uniform way, while butterfly is more explosive.
The tallest giraffe in the world is called Forrest, and he lives at the Australia Zoo in Queensland, Australia. He is 18 feet, 8 inches tall.
Birds are descendants of dinosaurs.
Potatoes were the first food to be grown in space.
In your lifetime, you can walk enough to circle the globe 3 times.
Rats have the ability to laugh. They do so when tickled.
A cloud weighs around 1 million tons. A cloud typically has a volume of around 1 kWt3 and a density of around 1.03 kilograms per mm². That's a density that's around 0.4% lower than the air surrounding it. This is how they are able to float.
Giraffes are 30 times more likely to get hit by lightning than people. True, there are only 5 well-documented fatal lightning strikes on giraffes between 1996 and 2010. But due to the population of the species being just 140,000 during this time,
Taborn. Identical twins don't have the same fingerprints. You can't blame your crimes on your twin after all. This is because environmental factors during development in the womb, umbilical cord length, position in the womb, and the rate of finger growth.
Earth's rotation is changing speed. It's actually slowing. This means that, on average, the length of a day increases by around 1.8 seconds per century. 600 million years ago, a day lasted just 21 hours.
Your brain is constantly eating itself. This process is called phagocytosis, where cells envelop and consume smaller cells or molecules to remove them from the system. Don't worry. Phagocytosis isn't harmful, but helps preserve your gray.
the largest piece of fossilized dinosaur poo discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume. Believed to be a Tyrannosaurus rex turd, the fossilized dung, also named a coprolite, is helping scientists understand what the dinosaurs are.
Hanaia, the universe's average color is called cosmic latte. In a 2002 study, astronomers found that the light coming from galaxies averaged into a beige color that's close to white.
Animals can experience time differently from humans. To smaller animals, the world around them moves more slowly compared to humans. Salamanders and lizards, for example, experience time more slowly than cats and dogs.
Water might not be wet. This is because most scientists define wetness as a liquid's ability to maintain contact with a solid surface, meaning that water itself is not wet, but can make other objects wet.
A chicken once lived for 18 months without a head. Mike. The chicken's incredible feat was recorded back in the 1940s in the USA.
See? All the world's bacteria stacked on top of each other would stretch for 10 billion light years. Together, Earth's 0.0101 millimeter long microbes could wrap around the Milky Way over 20,000 times.
Wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5%. A study in 2018 found that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain by up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches.
The fear of long words is called hippopotamonstrosis. The 36-letter word was first used by the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BCE to criticize those writers with an unreasonable pen.
The world's oldest dog lived to 29.5 years old. While the median age a dog reaches tends to be about 10 to 15 years, one Australian cattle dog, Bluey, survived to the ripe old age of 29.5.
The world's oldest cat lived to 38 years and 3 days old. Creme Puff was the oldest cat to ever live.
The sun makes a sound, but we can't hear it. In the form of pressure waves, the sun does make a sound.
Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain on Earth. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa in Hawaii, the twin volcanoes, are taller than Mount Everest due to 4.2 kilometers of their heights being submerged underwater.
Our solar system has a wall, the heliopause, the region of space in which solar wind isn't hot enough to push back the wind of particles coming from distant stars, is often considered the boundary wall.
Octopuses don't actually have tentacles. They have 8 limbs, but they're arms, for most species. Technically, when talking about cephalopods, octopuses, squids, etc.,
Most maps of the world are wrong. On most maps, the Mercator projection, first developed in 1569, is still used.
NASA genuinely faked part of the moon landing, while Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface were categorically not faked. The astronaut quarantine protocol when the astronauts arrived back on Earth was largely just one big show.
Comets smell like rotten eggs. A comet smells like rotten eggs, urine, burning matches, and almonds. Traces of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen cyanide were all found in the makeup of the comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko.
Earth's poles are moving. This magnetic reversal of the North and South Pole has happened 171 times in the past 71 million years. We're overdue a flip.
You can actually die laughing. And a number of people have, typically due to intense laughter, causing a heart attack or suffocation. Comedy shows should come with a warning.
Chainsaws were first invented for childbirth. It was developed in Scotland in the late 18th century to help aid and speed up the process of symphysiotomy, widening the pubic cartilage, and removal of disease-laden bone during childbirth.
Ants don't have lungs. They instead breathe through spiracles, 9 or 10 tiny openings, depending on the species.
And the T-Rex likely had feathers. Scientists in China discovered early Cretaceous period tyrannosaur skeletons that were covered in feathers. If the ancestors of the T-Rex had feathers, the T-Rex probably did too.
Football teams wearing red kits play better. The color of your clothes can affect how you're perceived by others and change how you feel. A review of football matches in the last 55 years.
Wind turbines kill between 10,000 and 100,000 birds each year in the UK. Interestingly, painting one of the blades of a wind turbine black can reduce bird deaths by 70%.
Snails have teeth. Between 1,000 and 12,000 teeth, to be precise. They aren't like ours, though, so don't be thinking about snails with ridiculous toothy grins. You'll find the snail's tiny teeth all over its file-like tongue.
Sound can be minus decibels. The quietest place on Earth is Microsoft's anechoic chamber in Redmond, WA, USA, at 20.6 decibel.
Gyr, a horse, normally has more than 1 horsepower. A study in 1993 showed that the maximum power a horse can produce is 18,000 WW, around 24 horsepower.
Your signature could reveal personality traits. A study in 2016 purports that among men, a larger signature correlates with higher social bravado, and among women, a bigger signature correlates with narcissistic traits.
1 in 18 people have a third nipple. Known as polythelia, the third nipple is caused by a mutation in inactive genes.
Bananas are radioactive. Due to being rich in potassium, every banana is actually slightly radioactive thanks to containing the natural isotope potassium-40.
There's no such thing as a straight line. Zoom in close enough to anything, and you'll spot irregularities. Even a laser light beam is slightly curved.
Deaf people are known to use sign language in their sleep. A case study of a 71-year-old man with rapid eye movement disorder and a severe hearing impairment showed him using fluent sign language in his sleep.
Finland is the happiest country on Earth, according to the World Happiness Report. it has been for 6 years in a row. It's not really surprising, given that Finland is the home of Santa Claus, reindeer, and one sauna for every 1.59 people.
Hippos can't swim. Hippos really do have big bones, so big and dense, in fact, that they're barely buoyant at all. They don't swim and instead perform a slow-motion gallop on the riverbed or on the sea floor. In fact, hippos can even sleep underwater.
The moon looks upside down in the southern hemisphere, compared to the northern hemisphere anyway. This means that the man in the moon is upside down in the southern hemisphere and looks more like a rabbit.
You can yo-yo in space. In 2012, NASA astronaut Don Pettit took a yo-yo on board the International Space Station and demonstrated several tricks.
Not only plants photosynthesize, algae, which are not plants, and some other organisms, including sea slugs and pea aphids, contain chlorophyll and can also take sunlight and turn it into an energy source.
You can be heavily pregnant and not realize. Cryptic pregnancies aren't that uncommon, with 1 in 500 not recognized until at least halfway through, and 1 in 2,500 not known until labor starts.
Bacteria on your skin cause your itches.
Starfish don't have bodies. Their entire bodies are technically classed as heads.
Somebody has been constipated for 45 days. In 2013, an unfortunate Indian woman had to undergo surgical removal of a fecal mass as large as a football.
You travel 2.5 million kilometers a day around the sun without realizing. The Earth's orbit travels around 2.5 million kilometers with respect to the sun's center and around 19 million kilometers with respect to the center of the Milky Way.
Fish form orderly queues in emergencies. When evacuating through narrow spaces in sketchy situations, schools of neon tetrafish queue so that they don't collide or clog up the line.
There are more bacterial cells in your body than human cells. The average human is around 56% bacteria. This was discovered in a 2016 study and is far less than the earlier estimates of 90%.
Most ginger cats are male. There are roughly 3 ginger male cats to 1 ginger female. This is because the ginger gene, meaning female cats, would require 2 copies of the gene to become ginger, whilst males only need 1.
Teen Dill, your nails grow faster in hot summer. This is probably due to increased blood supply to the fingertips. It could also be because you're less stressed while on holiday, so less likely to gnaw away at them.
Insects can fly up to 3.22 kilometers above sea level, at least. Alpine bumblebees have been found living as high up as 3.25 kilometers above sea level.
There's a planet mostly made from diamond, called 55 Cancri A. It's around twice the size of Earth and some 40 light-years away from us within the Cancer constellation.
Animals can be allergic to humans. Animals can be allergic to our dead skin cells, dander. These allergic reactions can be just like ours too, including breathing difficulties and skin irritation.
Being bored is actually a high arousal state physiologically. This is because when you're bored, your heart rate increases.
Platypuses sweat milk. This is because it doesn't have teats. Milk appears as sweat on a platypus, but it's an aquatic mammal, so it doesn't actually sweat at all.
Lego bricks withstand compression better than concrete. An ordinary plastic Lego brick is able to support the weight of 375,000 other bricks before it fails.
Martial artists who smile before the start of a match are more likely to lose. This could be as a smile can convey fear or submissiveness.
It's almost impossible to get too much sugar from fresh fruit. Fresh fruit contains a lot of fiber and water, which slows down your digestion and makes you feel full.
Xijinji, you don't like the sound of your own voice because of the bones in your head. This may be because the bones in our head make our voice sound deeper.
A rainbow on Venus is called a glory. Appearing as a series of colored concentric rings, these are caused by the interference of light waves within droplets, rather than the reflection, refraction, and dispersion of light that makes a rainbow.
Protons look like peanuts, rugby balls, bagels, and spheres. Protons come in all different shapes and sizes, with their appearance changing based on the speed of smaller particles within them. Quarks.
Mirrors facing each other don't produce infinite reflections. Each reflection will be darker than the last, and eventually fade into invisibility. Mirrors absorb a fraction of the energy of the light striking them.
There might be a cure for evil. Psychologists argue that aspects of psychopathy can be cured by cognitive behavioral therapy, which is said to reduce violent offenses by those with the condition.
All mammals get goosebumps. When your hair stands on end, tiny muscles contract at each hair's base, which distorts the skin to create goosebumps. This process is called piloerection and is present in all mammals.
Football players spit so much because exercise increases the amount of protein in saliva. When you exercise, the amount of protein secreted into the saliva increases.
Some animals display autistic-like traits. Autistic traits in animals include a tendency toward repetitive behavior and atypical social habits.
Ueat, the biggest butterfly in the world, has a 31 centimeters wingspan. It belongs to the Queen Alexandra's bird-wing butterfly, which you can find in the forests of the Oro province, in the east of Papua.
You remember more dreams when you sleep badly. Research suggests that if you sleep badly and wake up multiple times throughout the night, you will be more likely to recall the content of any dreams you had.
You could sweat when you are anxious to alert others. One theory suggests we've evolved to sweat whilst anxious to alert the brains of other people around us, so they are primed for whatever it is that's making us anxious.
Yeah, a lightning bolt is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. The charge carried by a bolt of lightning is so intense that it has a temperature of 30,000 degrees Celsius, 54,000 degrees Celsius.
The longest anyone has held their breath underwater is over 24.5 minutes. The world record for breath holding underwater was achieved by Croatian Budimir Šobat on 27 March 2021, who held his breath for a total of 24 minutes and 37 seconds.
The moon is shrinking, but only very slightly, by about 164 in radius over the last several hundred million years. Mysterious seismic activity, known as moonquakes, could be to blame.
Dogs tilt their heads when you speak to them to better pinpoint familiar words. Your dog is tilting its head when you speak to it, to pinpoint where noises are coming from more quickly.
1. If the Earth doubled in size, trees would immediately fall over. This is because surface gravity would be doubled. It would also mean dog size, and larger animals would not be able to run without breaking a leg.
Mercury, not Venus, is the closest planet to Earth on average. On average, Mercury is 1.04 astronomical units, AU, away from Earth compared to the 1.14 AU average distance between Earth and Venus.
Flamingos aren't born pink. They actually come into the world with gray-white feathers and only develop a pinkish hue after starting a diet of brine shrimp and blue-green algae.
You can smell ants. Many species of ants release strong-smelling chemicals when they're angry, threatened, or being squished.
People who eat whatever they want and stay slim have a slow metabolism, not fast.
Earth is 4.54 billion years old. Using radiometric dating, scientists have discovered that the Earth is 4.54 billion years old, give or take 50 million years.
Electrons might live forever. Scientists have estimated the minimum lifetime of the electron is about 6.6 10,028 years.
Beavers don't actually live in dams. Technically, beavers live in a lodge that they build behind a dam, within a deep pool of water.
Sam, the average dinosaur lifespan was surprisingly small. The Tyrannosaurus rex, for example, reached full size between 16-22 years old and lived up until 27-33.
Someone left a family photo on the moon when Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke landed on the moon in 1972. The photo remains on the moon to this day.
It rains methane on Saturn's largest moon. Titan is the only moon in our solar system with a dense atmosphere and the only body except Earth with liquid rivers, lakes, and seas fed by rainfall. This rainfall isn't water, though. It's liquid methane.
Giraffes hum to communicate with each other. It's thought that the low-frequency humming could be a form of contact call between individuals who have been separated from their herd, helping them to find each other in the dark.
Glass sponges can live for 15,000 years. This makes them one of the longest living organisms on Earth. The immortal jellyfish, however, could theoretically live forever, but scientists aren't sure.
You have a 50% chance of sharing a birthday with a friend. In any group of 23 people, 2 people will share a birthday, according to the maths.
Murder rates rise in summer. Ever feel angry or in a bad mood when the weather is hot? Well, you're not alone. Violent crime goes up in hotter weather, and in the U.S., murder rates reportedly rise by 2.7% over the summer.
New car smell is a mix of over 200 chemicals. These include the sickly sweet toxic hydrocarbons benzene and toluene.
Sea level isn't actually level. As the strength of the force generated by the Earth's spin is strongest at the equator, the average sea level bulges outward there, putting it further from the center of the Earth than at the poles.
Chiyo, you inhale 50 potentially harmful bacteria every time you breathe. Thankfully, your immune system is working hard all the time, so virtually all of these are promptly destroyed without you feeling a thing. Shoo.
You can see stars as they were 4,000 years ago with the naked eye.
Plants came before seeds. According to the fossil record, early plants resembled moss and reproduced with single-celled spores. Multicellular seeds didn't evolve for another 150 million years.
Well, our dead cells are eaten by other cells in our body. Don't worry, it's meant to happen. When cells inside your body die, they're scavenged by phagocytes, white blood cells whose job it is to digest other cells.
Smells can pass through liquid. Please don't try smelling underwater. Your nose will not appreciate it. But smell does protrude through liquid.
Bats aren't blind. Despite the famous idiom, bats can indeed see, but they still use their even more famous echolocation to find prey.
Pine trees can tell if it's about to rain. Next time you see a pine cone, take a close look. If it's closed, that's because the air is humid, which can indicate rain is on its way.
You can't fold a piece of A4 paper more than 8 times. As the number of layers doubles each time, the paper rapidly gets too thick and too small to fold.
Laughing came before language. How do we know? Some researchers tickled baby apes, which, beyond being adorable, showed that they share the same structure as ours, and likely arose in our common ancestors millions of years ago.
Your brain burns 500 calories a day. That's about a fifth of your total energy requirements. Most of this is concerned with the largely automatic process of controlling your muscles and processing sensory input. Banging your head against a wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories. A much safer way to burn 150 calories is to walk for 53 minutes.
The color orange was actually named after oranges. Before oranges arrived in England in the late 15th century, there was no word for the color.
Snakes can predict earthquakes. Many animals are able to predict earthquakes to varying levels of success. Yet, snakes are the most reliable, sensing earthquakes from as far as 75 miles away, 121 kilos.
Crows often hold grudges against specific people. Crows are excellent at recognizing people's faces and are able to remember people for a long time.
The oldest "your mom" joke was discovered on a 3,500-year-old Babylonian tablet.
You get goosebumps when you're scared to make yourself look bigger.
May 29 is officially Put a Pillow on Your Fridge Day. The roots of this odd-sounding holiday go back hundreds of years, starting in the early 1900s. Back then, people didn't have refrigerators and instead would hang a piece of cloth in their larder.
Cherophobia is the irrational fear of fun or happiness.
7% of American adults believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
If you lift a kangaroo's tail off the ground, it can't hop. Kangaroos use their tails for balance while hopping. If you elevate their tail, they will lose balance and fall over.
Bananas are curved because they grow towards the sun.
Most Korean people don't have armpit odor. Research at the University of Bristol found that only 0.006% of the Korean population has the ABCC11 gene, which causes armpit odor.
The original London Bridge is now in Arizona. Originally constructed in 1831, the London Bridge began deteriorating in the 1960s, leading the City of London to sell it. During your lifetime, you will produce enough saliva to fill 50 bathtubs. The average person produces roughly 1 ounce, 30 milliliters of saliva, every hour. That's 24.3 ounces, 720 milliliters, or 1 full wine bottle's worth of saliva a day.
Polar bears could eat as many as 10 penguins in a single sitting.
Car manufacturer Volkswagen makes sausages. Most people know Volkswagen for their iconic line of camper vans and the Beetle. A lesser-known product that comes out of Volkswagen's factories is currywurst sausages.
Movie trailers were originally shown after the movie, which is why they're called trailers.
Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian invention.
The smallest bone in your body is in your ear.
Tennis players can be fined up to $20,000 for swearing while playing at Wimbledon.
Only 5% of the ocean has been explored. The ocean covers around 70% of the Earth's surface, and it is much harder to explore than land.
Most people fart around 14 to 23 times a day. While passing wind may sometimes be embarrassing, it's perfectly natural. By knowing what you eat, you can fart less often and prevent them from being too smelly.
There is a species of spider called the hobo spider. The hobo spider, Eratogena agrestis, can be found in various places around the world, including Europe, Central Asia, and parts of Western North America.
A lion's roar can be heard from 5 miles away.
St. Lucia is the only country in the world named after a woman.
2 countries. The United States Navy used Xbox controllers for their periscopes.
The word burrito means little donkey in Spanish.
A baby octopus is about the size of a flea when it is born.
In 1783, the very first hot air balloon took off with a sheep, a duck, and a rooster on board.
In Uganda, around 48% of the population is under 15 years of age.
On average, men get bored of a shopping trip after 26 minutes.
In the 16th century, Turkish women could initiate divorce if their husbands didn't provide enough coffee.
Recycling just 1 tin can save enough energy to watch television for 3 hours.
After the premiere of 16 and Pregnant, teen pregnancy rates dropped.
Squirrels cause approximately 10-20% of U.S. power outages.
China has banned popular social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
95% of people text things they could never say in person.
Honeybees can recognize human faces.
The Battle of Hastings didn't actually take place in Hastings. The actual battle took place 7 miles, 11 kilometers away from Hastings, in a town now known as Battle.
Human blood cells have different lifespans. Red blood cells circulate in the human body for about 4 months. In comparison, white blood cells range from a few hours to several days.
A swarm of 20,000 bees followed a car for 2 days as their queen was trapped inside.
Eating carrots can turn your skin orange.
Bob Dylan's birth name was Robert Zimmerman.
Sea otters hold hands when they sleep, so they don't drift away from each other.
A small child could swim through the veins of a blue whale.
The word yawl dates back to at least 1631.
J.K. Rowling chose the unusual name Hermione, so young girls wouldn't be teased for being nerdy.
HP's name was determined by a coin toss in 1939.
There are a total of 1,710 steps in the Eiffel Tower.
The names of the Pokemon Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan were inspired by legendary martial artists.
Pigs are considered to be the world's 5th smartest animal.
Pirates wore earrings because they believed they improved their eyesight.
Los Angeles' original name is El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora, la Reina de los Ángeles de Porciúncula. In English, this means the town of Our Lady, the Queen of the Angels of Porciúncula.
The Twitter bird actually has a name, Larry. When Twitter was founded in 2006, its logo was purchased from a stock image website.
Octopuses actually have 6 arms and 2 legs. Just like animals that walk on 2 appendages, octopuses use their bottom 2 tentacles for walking and their top 6 tentacles for manipulating objects, including eating.
Pound cake got its name because the original recipe contained a pound of butter, sugar, flour, and eggs.
There are only 2 times that we know of that snow fell in the Sahara Desert. The first was on February 18, 1979. Since then, there has been just 1 case of it happening again, on December 19, 2016.
Mike Tyson once offered a zoo attendant $10,000 to let him fight a gorilla. Fortunately for everyone involved, the zoo attendant declined his request.
ABBA turned down $1 billion to do a reunion tour. The group split up following the divorce of 2 of its members. In 2000, ABBA was offered $1 billion to reunite for 100 shows. It's a hell of a lot of money to say no to, but it wasn't for us.
Abraham Lincoln fed his cat with a gold fork. He said, "If the gold fork was good enough for former President James Buchanan, I think it is good enough for Tabby."
There is a nut on a helicopter nicknamed the Jesus nut. Technically called the mast nut. It's a single nut that fixes the rotor blades to the helicopter. It was nicknamed the Jesus nut because if it fails, it would bring about catastrophe. Dogs tilt their heads when you speak to them to better pinpoint familiar words. Your dog is tilting its head when you speak to it, to pinpoint where noises are coming from more quickly.
1. If the Earth doubled in size, trees would immediately fall over. This is because surface gravity would be doubled. It would also mean dog size, and larger animals would not be able to run without breaking a leg.
Mercury, not Venus, is the closest planet to Earth on average. On average, Mercury is 1.04 astronomical units, AU, away from Earth compared to the 1.14 AU average distance between Earth and Venus.
Flamingos aren't born pink. They actually come into the world with gray-white feathers and only develop a pinkish hue after starting a diet of brine shrimp and blue-green algae.
You can smell ants. Many species of ants release strong-smelling chemicals when they're angry, threatened, or being squished.
People who eat whatever they want and stay slim have a slow metabolism, not fast.
Earth is 4.54 billion years old. Using radiometric dating, scientists have discovered that the Earth is 4.54 billion years old, give or take 50 million years.
Electrons might live forever. Scientists have estimated the minimum lifetime of the electron is about 6.6 10^28 years.
Beavers don't actually live in dams. Technically, Beavers live in a lodge that they build behind a dam, within a deep pool of water.
Sam, the average dinosaur lifespan was surprisingly small. The Tyrannosaurus rex, for example, reached full size between 16-22 years old and lived up until 27-33.
Someone left a family photo on the moon when Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke landed on the moon in 1972. The photo remains on the moon to this day.
Michael Jackson offered to make a Harry Potter musical, but the offer was rejected.
The world record for stuffing drinking straws into your mouth at once is 650.
Nutella was invented shortly after W2 ended because chocolate was so expensive. The availability of chocolate was low around this time because most of the world's armies issued rations of chocolate to their soldiers.
North Korea has its own space program. The two satellites which actually reached orbit both failed to function. However, according to North Korea, all launches have been great successes.
According to Genesis 1:20-22, the chicken came before the egg. The book of Genesis states that God created all living things. It even specifies that he created all birds and instructed them to go out and increase in number.
Ants leave maps for other ants when they walk. Ants leave trails of pheromones when they walk, which act as maps for other ants to follow. This allows them to travel the fastest route to sources of food or their hive.
Tears contain a natural painkiller, which reduces pain and improves your mood. The next time you find yourself close to tears, don't hold back. Just let it all out.
Saturn is the only planet in our solar system that could float in water. Although Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system, it's also the lightest. Saturn could float in water because it's basically a giant gas ball.
Male cats have longer tails than female cats. Male cats have longer tails simply because they are, on average, larger than female cats. Cats' tails are generally proportional to their body, so a larger body means a larger tail.
Dolly Parton lost in a Dolly Parton lookalike contest. She joined the Dolly Parton lookalike contest and didn't win.
In total, there are 205 bones in the skeleton of a horse. While horses may be much larger than us, they have only one less bone than us, with the human body having 206 bones.
Coca-Cola once bought all the website URLs that can be read as R, all the way up to 62 H's. The R in the URL stands for the sound a smile would make if it made sounds. While their ad campaign ended up being a huge success.
Each year, there are more than 40,000 toilet-related injuries in the U.S. It may come as a shock, but injuries of this sort are much more common than you'd think. Some injuries wouldn't win a Nobel Prize, such as children falling off the toilet.
Strawberries can be red, yellow, green, or white. Strawberries aren't red when they start growing. Instead, they start green and turn red as they ripen. Yellow or white strawberries are an entirely different species of strawberry.
Walt Disney World is the second largest buyer of fireworks in the U.S. Disney World spends at least $50 million on fireworks over the course of a year.
4 people lived in a home for 6 months infested with over 2,000 venomous spiders. Surprisingly, they were never bitten, revealing that brown recluse spiders are not as harmful as believed.
If you fell into a volcano, you'd float on the lava instead of melting. It's still not a great way to go out, though, as you would rapidly catch on fire.
In June 2017, the Facebook community reached 2 billion active users. The social network had 2.9 billion active users as of October 2022. So that's more than 1/3 of the world's population checks their Facebook on a regular basis.
Samuel L. Jackson requested a purple lightsaber in Star Wars to accept the part of Mace Windu. The giant stone heads on Easter Island have hidden bodies. The reason their bodies are buried isn't because of aliens or because they were built in deep holes, but simply by landslides covering them up.
Kleenex tissues were originally used as filters in gas masks.
In 1998, Sony accidentally sold 700,000 camcorders that could see through people's clothes. As soon as Sony realized their error, they attempted to recall all the cameras, making it their largest product recall to date.
During your lifetime, you will spend around 79 days brushing your teeth. It's common practice to brush your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes at a time. 4 minutes of brushing a day over a year is 160 minutes, which is 1 day.
Ronald McDonald is Donald McDonald in Japan because it makes pronunciation easier for the Japanese. The letters R and L in English are rather tricky for Japanese speakers to pronounce.